Welcome into Bon Appetit. Now we're all full of all the good stuff you've done before in the weeks prior, leading up to Thanksgiving. And Melissa Welch, you are a blue ribbon winner at everything this lady does. Huge prize winner at the fair. And we're going to finish up our Thanksgiving dinner with the desserts. So, what have you got for us today?
Well, today I did a couple of desserts, and the first one I'm going to talk about is a cranberry apple crisp, because in the fall I just love cranberries and apples, and this has some other good ingredients in it, which to me just say fall, and they're just all good together. The flavors are just really good. I started out with this one with 6 cups of peeled apples, and I used Honeycrisp for this. They're just good tart apples, and the recipe calls for 2 teaspoons of lemon juice, which that lemon juice added right in, I already did. It helps to keep the apples from turning. Pineapple juice is another good substitute to do that as well. So to that, I'm going to add 2 cups of fresh cranberries that have been washed, and they're just really pretty this time of the year.
And they're so good for you, Melissa.
They're really
great
good
for the kidneys and
they're really
loads
good.
of the vitamin C.
But 2/3 cup of sugar go into this mix, and then I'm going to add, which is another great flavor from the fall, the oranges and citrus starts coming out fall and winter and getting ready for Christmas time. And then to that, it's just about 2 tablespoons of all-purpose flour. Now this does not look like it's going to cover, and I'm just covering this here, just stirring it. And when you stir, it's going to coat all of that. But what you're going to do with this, an important step of this, is to set it aside for about 10 minutes. Now what's going to happen in that 10 minutes is all of the juices, the sugar's going to start breaking down and melting. It's going to macerate, and all these flavors are going to blend. So in 10 minutes time, you're going to have a wetter mixture here than you have this, and that's going to provide the wonderful backdrop for this apple crisp to have the juice and the flavor in it. So I'm just going to sit this here right now and tell you just briefly about the crumb topping that's going to go in there. Now I've already mixed this up because I did it in the food processor. You may do this in the food processor. You can do it with 2 forks. You can do it with a pastry blender if you'd like to. But the ingredients in this is simply 1 1/4 cups of all-purpose flour. And again, don't worry about jotting these recipes down, because Mr. Jack's going to take care of you. All you have to do is send him a call or an email, and he'll get it to you.
That's right.
But 3/4 cup of light brown sugar goes into this as well, and then a little bit of cinnamon, about a 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, just about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt, just to balance that out, those flavors. And then you mix that up, and then you add 1 stick of unsalted butter, and the unsalted, because you've already got the salt in there, you don't need the extra salt. And so you add that in and just crumble it. Now when you do that in the food processor, it's going to look like sand. But you don't want it to look like sand. You want to take it and get in with your hands and your fingers. And this is great if you have kids or grandkids that want to get in and help you do something to mix. And when you start mixing this with your hands, it's going to stick together from the warmth of your hands, going to melt that butter just a little bit. And it's going to allow you to have this crumb mixture. Then all you do, you have either a 9x11 or a 9x9 pan would work for that as well. It'd be a little bit thicker. You butter that pan with some softened butter, and then you pour this apple mixture in after it's set for about 10 minutes, as I said. Sprinkle this crumb mixture on top, which already has your good butter and everything in it. Pop it in the oven at 350 for about 35 to 40 minutes. And I think I cooked this one exactly 40 minutes, and it was perfect. And when you take it out of the oven, just let it sit for about 10 minutes and let it rest, because it's really too hot to eat when you do that. Don't stick your food in it. But that's the first recipe. And the second one I want to tell you about briefly is this cream of coconut pecan pie. You can move that over. It's just the cream of coconut pecan pie. Now, one thing I want to tell you about the cream of coconut in this is not coconut milk. This is cream of coconut, which is all of the great oils and everything out of your coconut and the juice of a coconut. If you can't find it in the section where the shredded coconut is in the store, it's probably by the drink mixers. I think they use it in drinks a good bit, but it's wonderful for baking. Great emulsify. But when you open the can, it's going to be really thick, because you're probably going to have about this much of the coconut oil on top. Stir it really well before you put in. And this recipe uses 1.5 cups, and that's about 15 ounces in that can, and I just use the whole can. It's not going to hurt, it's forgiving. But the second thing about this recipe is, again, to use unsalted butter, and it's 6 tablespoons. and you want to brown that butter. Now, if you've never browned butter before, it's not hard. You just have to watch
Okay.
it. You put your butter in a saucepan on medium-high heat. You bring it to a boil, and it'll change color on you. When it starts smelling a little nutty smelling, like pecans or something, it has a different flavor from butter. You stir that and you take it immediately off the eye because it will burn, and you don't want it burned. Then
Okay.
you add the cream of coconut and other ingredients to that, and you have a wonderful pie.
Listen, you are a dessert yourself.
thank you.
are a dessert.
You're a sweetheart.
She is, and we just love both of you guys.
sweet
Thank
tooth.
you so much.
Oh,
and-
we've been so glad to
and-
come.
And happy Thanksgiving, everybody.
Happy Thanksgiving.
And we'll be right back.